Hello, and welcome to Celiac.com news. Subscribe to our channel to get the latest celiac disease and gluten-free diet news. And if you have any questions, be sure to join the Celiac.com forum online at celiac.com. And now let's move on to the latest Celiac.com news. Celiac disease triggers cognitive deficit, and white matter changes in the brain. Celiac disease is well known for its impact on the digestive system, but many patients report symptoms that go beyond the gut, such as brain fog, anxiety, and memory problems. Researchers have long debated whether these cognitive and emotional issues are truly linked to celiac disease or simply coincidental. To address this question, a new study used data from the UK Biobank, a large database of medical information from over 500,000 people, to investigate whether people with celiac disease show measurable differences in brain function and structure. This study compared individuals with celiac disease to healthy people of the same age, sex, and general health. It aimed to determine if there were differences in mental performance, emotional well-being, and brain imaging results. The results offer compelling evidence that celiac disease can affect the brain in meaningful ways. The researchers selected 104 adults with celiac disease from the UK Biobank and matched them with 198 individuals who did not have the condition. Both groups were carefully balanced in terms of age, gender, education, body weight, and blood pressure status. Importantly, all participants were otherwise healthy and free from diagnosed neurological diseases. To assess mental function, both groups completed 5 different cognitive tests and answered 6 questions related to mental health. The researchers also analyzed brain scans from all participants using advanced magnetic resonance imaging techniques. These scans were used to look for changes in the brain's white matter, the part of the brain that helps send messages between different regions. One of the most important findings was that people with celiac disease had slower reaction times compared to the control group. Reaction time is a standard way to measure how quickly someone can process and respond to information. Although this may seem like a small difference, slower reaction times are associated with reduced processing speed, which can affect everyday functioning, such as driving, multitasking, and memory. The emotional health of people with celiac disease was also noticeably different. Participants with celiac disease were more likely to report symptoms of anxiety and depression. They also expressed greater dissatisfaction with their health and, alarmingly, were more likely to report thoughts of self-harm. These findings suggest that the psychological burden of living with celiac disease may be heavier than previously thought and could also reflect deeper biological changes related to gluten sensitivity. Using a special brain imaging technique called diffusion tensor imaging, the researchers identified subtle but widespread changes in the white matter of participants with celiac disease. White matter is critical for fast and efficient brain communication. The most notable change was an increase in what's known as axial diffusivity, a measure that can signal damage to brain pathways. This kind of white matter alteration is often seen in conditions like mild traumatic brain injury, stroke, and early forms of cognitive decline. Although these changes didn't directly correlate with the cognitive test scores, the pattern was strong enough to suggest a biological basis for the mental differences observed. Interestingly, other forms of brain injury, such as visible lesions or brain atrophy, shrinking, were not found to be significantly different between the groups. This means that while the brain changes were not severe enough to be seen in a basic scan, they were detectable with more sensitive methods and still appear to impact thinking ability. This study is one of the most rigorous and well-controlled investigations into the brain effects of celiac disease to date. By using a large and relatively healthy population, the researchers avoided many of the biases that can skew results in clinical studies. The findings suggest that even in the absence of visible neurological disease, people with celiac disease may suffer from meaningful brain changes that affect their daily lives. More importantly, these changes may not go away completely, even when the patient is following a strict gluten-free diet. Previous research has shown that neurological damage caused by gluten may be long lasting or even permanent in some cases. This underscores the importance of early diagnosis and strict adherence to a gluten free lifestyle to prevent irreversible harm. While this study did not directly investigate why these brain changes occur, it builds on earlier research that suggests several possible explanations: immune system reactions. Gluten can trigger immune responses that affect blood vessels and brain tissue. Inflammation. Chronic inflammation from untreated celiac disease may slowly damage brain cells. Nutrient deficiencies. Malabsorption in the gut can lead to deficiencies in essential vitamins and minerals that support brain health. Emotional stress. Living with a chronic illness, especially one that affects eating and social life, can contribute to anxiety and depression. In reality, it may be a combination of these factors working together to affect brain structure and function. For individuals living with celiac disease, this study offers both a warning and a call to action. It reinforces the idea that celiac disease is a whole body condition that extends beyond the gut. Mental fog, mood changes, and slower thinking are not just in your head, they may be signs of real brain involvement. Following a strict gluten free diet remains the best way to prevent further damage. However, because the brain does not heal as easily as the gut, early diagnosis is crucial. This research may also help patients advocate for better care, including access to mental health support and cognitive assessments. Conclusion: Celiac disease is not just a digestive condition in summary. This study confirms that celiac disease can affect both the mind and the brain in measurable ways. People with the condition showed slower reaction times, higher levels of emotional distress, and widespread white matter changes in the brain. These findings validate what many patients have long suspected: that the mental and neurological effects of celiac disease are real, significant, and deserving of more attention. Understanding this connection may help doctors provide more comprehensive care and encourage patients to stick to the gluten free diet, not just for digestive health, but for lifelong brain health as well. To get the latest celiac disease news and information, be sure to subscribe to celiac.com news. Thank you for tuning in and see you next time.